Good afternoon. So it is Sunday. It's a rainy Sunday here. But hopefully everybody's had a good week, good weekend, good Thanksgiving. We are in the last stretch. It is December. Make it count. Do what you gotta do. Going into 2024, I have really great high hopes for 2024. At least for me. I really think it's going to be a turnaround. And I actually posted a video recently. I'll put it on my Instagram for the podcast, but I did a short TikTok video talking about just like peace and how to keep your peace as we end the year going into the new year. So, um, I'll be sure to put that on my Instagram page too. And Facebook, because I only have it on my TikTok right now. So if you don't follow me on there, then you probably didn't see it. But it was just a little freestyle, off the dome type of message that I was gonna share, that I shared. So today's topic is about a post that I saw on not a favorite, but a funny topic. I feel like nowadays, which is dating. And so it was like this. She was talking about dating and um just like some of the challenges that come with dating today in today's society and how people treat it, view it, go into it, things like that. So I will talk about that. But before we get into that, I just wanted to I'm trying to think of any like housekeeping stuff. I don't really have any. Like I said, I've been pretty good. I'm doing two cameras, sorry. So I'm trying to stay on that recording videos so that I could be able to share it on YouTube. I do have a YouTube. It's Black Hippie Lounge. I have sometimes I'll post a video on TikTok as well in Facebook so that you can see what I'm looking like and get a visual too. I think that's sometimes helpful. So, but yeah, it's just chilly. It is kind of chilly outside. Chill Sunday. Um, so just really enjoying the last month of this year, remaining positive, despite what trials have came this year. A lot can still happen before December 31st and going into the new year. So, I encourage you to try to do the same, to remain positive and let things just flow how it's gonna go. Flow how it's gonna go, Okay, that's enough. So like I said, I want to talk about this post that I saw about dating and just some observations that a woman, I think she's a psychiatrist, has made. I feel like it's easy to kind of get caught up in like dating sucks and like there's pee in the dating pool and stuff like all those things that I've heard people say or seen online. And I feel like when it comes to dating, there are going to be bad experiences, going to be good experiences, but it's all a learning experience. And that is something that I learned with dating. I haven't been dating this year, just because for me, I really needed this year to just retreat and to be to myself and kind of rebrand. I feel like that's really what I've been doing this year, not just with the podcast and with my brand itself, but just me as a person, not necessarily changing into someone else. But I think a part of growth is shedding, and I've been shedding a lot this year. Um, Shedding relationships that no longer serve me, shedding habits that no longer serve me. It just really been deep in relationship with myself and my higher self, and just really learning to take things day by day and not get hung up on it. I think that what I can say from beginning of this year to now is like I've always been an easygoing person, but I'm more like, all right, because what am I gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, and that can be, I feel like that attitude could be used in dating also. It's like, I'm gonna show up as my authentic self. We're either gonna click or we're not. And either way, we'll be fine. So that's kind of the gist of my, views with dating right now. Until, you come across the right person. So but yeah, other than that, I don't really have anything else to add to that. So I'm gonna start getting into this post that I saw. I'm gonna read the whole thing like I usually do and then dissect it. I'm not gonna lie, trying to do the recording, directing, and all that, and it's a lot. It's a lot. But anyway, so it says this is the page. I don't even know how to say that, so I can't. I'm not even gonna try to dissect that, but it's a page on Instagram that I came across. And so the girl, she says, "What's the worst part of dating in this generation?" So someone said fundamentalism, especially in the educated middle class circles. Dating once Dating was once a curiosity driven, gracious affair. Now it is a trauma informed, rigid vetting system. You don't get the benefit of the doubt. No clean slates, no grace, just caution. And we can't agree to disagree anymore. It is my way or your way. Anything else is toxic. And if you are the patient one who's keen on finding a middle ground, that it's not me versus you, but us versus the problem, you'll be called manipulative. Being the good one gets you punished simply because for them, a good relationship is them always getting their way. And when you are too good, when you are too patient, then you are after his or her money or weak. When you put your foot down, you are too controlling. It must always be happy too, the relationship, pleasing and perfect at all times. Anything else is a sign that means that relationship is not working out. So we don't try at all to make things work. We just ship out at the first inconvenience. We lack individuality as we have been groupies all of our lives. When we come face to face with individuality, it feels like an attack on us. You could be as loving as a pet, as doting as a painter's brushstroke, as patient as a saint in meditation, but she or he will still judge you on the preconceived notions she or he had about your kind. So you are not just dating them anymore. You are dating their friends too, both offline and online friends. Navigating dating traumas that you did not cause and have nothing to do with you as a couple. Too much power struggle, very little camaraderie. So a lot to dissect here. I don't know if I necessarily agree with what this post is saying, just because, and I think that there probably was a point in time where I was agreeing with a lot of it. But I think that for me, therapy has definitely helped me to, I think it's about your mindset. Like, how are you going into it? And are you taking accountability and taking responsibility for you? I think that, again, I'm just talking about from my experience and my idea of how I go into it, is that I'm responsible for me. I have to look out for me and my heart, my soul, my mind, my peace. I have to be able to know how to obtain that and maintain that, know what makes me happy, know how to get myself into a good space when something happens that throws me off. Just really, again, like how to take care of me. And I think that it is true that when you know how to take care of you, you show someone how to treat you, you show someone how to take care of you, how you would like to be treated, by the way that you treat yourself, by the way that you live. things like that. And so I feel like naturally that just creates boundaries, or at least it gives the person an idea of like, is this someone that I could maintain a relationship with in any form? Or is it, this is not for me because I'm not about that, or I do something else, whatever, right? So I say all that to say that, yes, I think fundamentalism is important in a relationship and with dating. And I think that with dating, it's so easy. I think that right now it's so easy. And I say easy in the sense of access is easy. I don't think the actual act of dating and getting to know someone and moving forward into a relationship is easy. I don't think that. I think that the idea of, connecting with people to be able to date is very easy, and there's very easy access to that. I say that because nowadays, like, if I want to be, if I feel like, all right, I'm feeling like I want to get back into dating, I could just download an app, match with some guys, and go on dates. It's simple as that. I don't have to put in much effort in terms of like before dating apps. Like, you really had to just go out. You had to be out in like events or parties or whatever it is that is your vibe, your thing, to match or potentially meet people, right? Because you could go to something and not see one cutie, you know what I mean? And I mean, that's subjective, obviously, whatever you think is cute or whatever. But my point is, like, you could go out, because I've had that experience too, like going out a lot in the summertime, or just like the time period when I was going out, and not necessarily going out to date, but just going out with friends to events and stuff like that. And a lot of times just not coming across people that I found attractive. People that found me attractive and approached me, but I just wasn't interested. So sometimes that can happen too. And that's the quote unquote, I don't want to say natural, but just like the old school way, right? Because again, there was no internet, there was no texting or anything like that, or like Facebook or stuff like that. Because nowadays you can really, it doesn't even have to be an app. Like, you could be scrolling through TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, or whatever, Snapchat or whatever, any apps, and you could come across a picture and see a person and be like, oh, they're cute. Let me shoot them a message. One thing leads to another, like you guys are going on a date or whatever. So that's just how things are nowadays. But that's one way to do it. That's obviously the other way is like, obviously the other way of just, hey, like, we happen to be at this event, you approach me, and we had great conversation, we exchanged numbers, and it goes from there. So I think that in that terms, it's really just whatever works for you, however it flows for you. Me personally, I prefer the old school way, just because it just seems more natural to me. But I have connected with people on apps and met people from apps. I think that still works too. It's worked for me that way as well. It's just more so either way. I think that knowing what you want, that's the biggest thing. And I think that not only knowing what you want, but being able to verbalize that and to be able to stand on it, and not let someone or something persuade you to do something that you don't want to do. I think for me, not even for me, but just in my opinion, I think that is the biggest issue with dating nowadays, is that people, and I don't think it's something new. I think it's been happening. It's just now it's more, everyone can see it as far as like being posted online and stuff like that and people talking about it. But I think that if you don't know what you want, it's easy to get caught into something that you don't want. It's easy to feel like dating is hard, or you're not being successful at it, because you don't know what you're looking for. You don't know what's gonna be your match or make you happy. You're just going with whatever comes at you. So let me break down this post because I don't want to just ramble. But I think some points were made that were interesting. She says that dating was once a curiosity-driven, gracious affair. Now it is a trauma-informed, rigid vetting system. That I do think that it can be that way. I think that that's why I said that people are not taking advantage of the opportunity of therapy. I think that sometimes people think, oh, therapy, I don't need therapy, I'm not crazy or something. It's not about being crazy. It's just like everyone, if you are 20 something, you've had some form of a dating trauma. And trauma doesn't have to be like a physical altercation or something like that. It can really just getting your heart broken is trauma. That's traumatic, right? If you really loved someone, or you really cared about this person or had deep feelings for them, and you really thought that y'all were going to be forever and ever, and it doesn't work out that way, that's traumatic. If they break up with you or they cheat on you, that's traumatic. Like, that's trauma. And because it has to do with the act of dating, it's just natural that your body, your mind, everything's going to remember that. So when you go into the next, you know, opportunity of trying to date, yes, you might have some trauma that you kind of just bleed over into the relationship. Whether it be like you're super cautious, or you might just sometimes just do the same thing to somebody else that someone did to you. And that's because you didn't heal and you didn't really work through the trauma, right? And so what she's saying about it being there a lack of curiosity, I think that can be too. I think just because, again, like nowadays, if you, even if I met someone out the old school way and I know their name and I have their number, like now you can just find somebody online. You could really go and find, let me see their Instagram, let me see their Facebook, let me see what they like, let me see their TikTok. Like you can kind of basically, obviously whatever someone posts online isn't exactly who they are, but you can kind of get an idea of like, all right, like I know for me and my experiences of like dating and just or connecting with people, like if I exchange Instagram with them and then like I see your who you follow, how many followers you have, what kind of pictures or videos you post, who you follow, like that you might know, that I might know, like hey, you might just end up be following someone who's my family member or someone that I used to date or something like now, but those are not things that you would necessarily be able to discover right away back in like, I don't want to say back in the day, but just like the old school way of just meeting people and out and about and exchanging numbers and talking that way. That might be something that you would discover later on. Versus now, like you can really connect the dots and really get to have a basis of who this person is, and that can persuade your experience with the dating too, and vice versa, right? They could see pictures that you've posted or who you follow or what you do online. Your online presence can potentially turn them off too, even if you were, someone that they thought they wanted to get to know like that night when they met you. So I definitely think that it is kind of lacking that curiosity. I think that everybody wants things like right away. Like even for me in my experience, I've been like that too. Like, all right, getting like meeting somebody or connecting with someone on the app and stuff and like being like, all right, let's go to do a date. Okay, what do you want? What are you looking for? Like, and I don't think that you shouldn't ask that, but I think that again, like get to know the person first and see even if that's someone that you would want to date. Or you find really attractive, like, and again, attraction doesn't have to just be physical. Someone could be mad cute but they're stupid to you, or they're emotionally like immature or something, like a lot of things that can make someone unattractive to you. So I say all that to say like the curiosity is important and maintaining that is important, because also I've had experiences of like getting to know someone and moving so quickly with everything, in all terms, and like getting to know them very quickly and just all that stuff, and it's just like, all right, after a couple months, like I don't know anymore. Like I don't know if this is the person that I thought they were. I don't know if I want to still be with this person, or if this is still the person that I see in that same way that I saw them before. But that could happen regardless. But in the society, the way that things are with dating now, like it just comes, sometimes I feel like it gets that way for people because you have so much access to everything. Like even I think something that I will practice with dating is like not exchanging social media with someone or looking for their social media and stuff, because it's just, I don't know, like you want to have that curiosity and like that boundary, because I feel like that's kind of like going to someone's house, right? Like you're not if you don't want to again, you do whatever you want, people have their own boundaries, but not letting someone come to your house so quickly, or becoming intimate so quickly, like those are things that create curiosity, and curiosity can drive a relationship to last a little bit longer, right? Because if you're giving everything right away, and again, I'm not just saying physically, but just giving all of you in all aspects right away, what is there left to learn? What is there left to discover or be curious about? And I'm sure there are still things that's to be curious about, but I'm just saying, like with dating, the whole point is to get to know someone, take your time, and it's a process of making sure, like, is this really the person that I can do whatever it is that you're looking for, whether it's forever, something temporary, friends, something like that, right? What else is it saying? You don't get the benefit of the doubt, no clean slates, no grace, just caution. I think again that's just coming from trauma and not healing things that happened to you before. I think benefit of the doubt. I used to be like that too, like very, very, very rigid. And that was coming from a place of hurt because I had been non-rigid before and very understanding. And it got me into, or I wouldn't even say it got me into a situation, but it didn't work out the way that I wanted it to. And so sometimes, again, when you don't heal that, you can kind of go into it being very clean cut and like, all right, you got one time to mess up with me and that's it. And I think that that's subjective. Like you should still have your boundaries and your limits too, because you don't want to get played or have your time wasted or used or not be in a situation that you enjoy. So I feel like you have to just, again, it's whatever works for you. If you want to give somebody a bunch of grace, go ahead. As long as you feel like it works for you, go ahead. If not, you can be rigid too. There's a lot in this post. This post is very long, but definitely think that it has to be us versus the problem versus me versus you. And I've been in relationships like that where it became me versus them versus instead of us versus the problem. And I don't know if I would say that it was being manipulative as it says in this post, but it definitely becomes stressful and straining on the relationship. Being the good one gets you punished. I don't know if I want to say that's true, but I definitely think that there's a two-way thing on that, because I feel like if you're a naturally good person, it's very hard for you to just be, I don't want to say bad, but very tough to deal with. But I think that you do, again, I feel like you have to do what works for you as a woman or as a man or whatever it is that you like to date. You just have to, I think that it all boils down to you're gonna have to find the right person. Like I'm trying to make sense of it, and like, because I can only speak from my perspective as a woman, and um I think that you should never stop being a good woman or be a good man just because someone didn't appreciate it. I think you should just learn how to have boundaries and being able to recognize someone who is good for you, and being able to recognize someone who recognizes that you're good for them. And what do they do with that? Because I feel like there's two options with that. Sometimes most people, whether a person's quote unquote good or bad, right? I'll say from my perspective as a woman, if I meet a guy and he's let's just say he's not a great guy, right? Maybe he's a player, or he's just, I'm not saying players are bad people, but maybe he's just not on the same page as me, right? I'm looking for a relationship, he's not. But he sees that, as upon talking to me, getting to know me, he can recognize off the bat that I'm a good woman. And the good woman in terms of like, oh, she's looking for a relationship, she's looking for like something serious. I'm not looking for that. And if he isn't able to address that in the terms of like being real with himself and being real with me and establishing that from the jump, then I'm trying to stay on topic. Yeah, then that can become like, and he says he moves forward, right, and just pretends like he's on the same page as me, yada yada yada. The point is, like, he pretends to get what he wants so he can get what he wants. That, and say at the end of the day things don't work out, the woman gets hurt because she thought this person wanted her in that same way, he didn't, and they go their separate ways. Now that woman may feel like she was getting punished for being a good woman. She wasn't being punished, but she was to, I think those type of experiences teach you a lesson. And I've been in that experience. It teaches you the lesson as, yes, you are being a good woman or a good man is subjective. It depends on what someone else thinks is good, what you think is good, and what good is for them at the time. Because good could, at one point in your life, can be, hey, this is a person that wants to have fun, and I want to have fun too. We're just hooking up. There's no strings attached, no seriousness to this. We don't want a relationship. So this is good. This is a good person for me. And then there could be a time where you're like, oh, I'm ready to settle down. I'm ready to be in a relationship. And this person says they want that. You guys move forward, and then it turns out that they don't want that. Then, yeah, that's no longer a good person to you. That person is, because they have essentially played with your emotions and presented a false version of themselves to get what they want. Then that is being manipulative, because like, all right, I don't want to be with this person, or I do want to be with this person, but I'm going to act a certain way or do certain things to get what I want out of that person. That is manipulative to me. And that can feel like punishment, because one person is being genuine and the other person is not. So it can feel like punishment, but it's not punishment. I think it's a lesson of being able to slow down and recognize the signs of someone who is being honest or not. And I think that, again, you got to give things and people time. People can only pretend for so long. That's why it's better to take your time with things, because it's a process of elimination. And I'm speaking from a woman's perspective. I don't know how guys view that, or how they do that, but I know for me, like, as a woman, like, you can do process of eliminations essentially just by taking your time. And the person that is really for you and who's really, really interested in you will be willing to go through that process and take their time. I feel like you should be cautious of someone who's trying to rush you and put you in a space that you don't want to be, that you've already verbalized that you don't want to be. So that's a good way to, like, vet it out and see who's quote unquote good for you. This is an interesting one too that I feel like I've experienced and I've definitely seen, is like people thinking that a good relationship is when it's going their way, but it's not a good relationship or a good partner when things don't go their way. And it doesn't have to just be about getting money or anything like that. It's just like, when things are good, then they're all in the relationship. When there's a hiccup in the road, which is inevitable in any real relationship, they are quick to jump ship. That is something that you should very much be careful of. And I think that, again, that's why it's important to take your time, because I feel like within the first 3 to 6 months of getting to know someone, there's bound to be some form of a hiccup. There's bound to be some form of a thing that occurs to make you say, oh, okay, like, this is how this person deals with conflict. This is how this person deals with anger or frustration or something. And that is a big signal of, like, like, if they're quick to jump ship, then that wasn't the person for you. Or if that person seems like they're, like, suggesting even that, like, that's something to pay attention to too, because they're not all in. And it's not just that they're not all in with you, that's how they potentially handle relationships. And that's something to understand too, because if you are someone who's dating, looking for, like, relationship and marriage and kids and stuff, you want someone who's really down for you, but not just down for you, but who is commitment positive, in terms of, like, when they say they're going to do something, they do it, right? They follow through. Or are they the type of person that says they want something and then when it gets tough, they bail out? because that to me is someone that I don't want to be with in any terms, because again, troubles and trials and tribulations are inevitable in any form. Like anything can happen. And so if you are the type of person that jump ship, then you're not for me, because I'm more of a, like, I don't want to say ride or die, because I'm not doing that, but I'm definitely, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So if I'm in the relationship and I say that I'm committed to you, then I'm going to be committed to you. And even when things get rough, like depending on how rough, like again, having my boundaries, I have my stipulations of things that I will deal with and things that I won't. And if it's a thing that I will be okay with like working through, then I would work through it. If it's not, then yeah, I feel like those are the only times when you should be jumping ship. It's like if it's your non-negotiables, things are happening that you're just like, I'm all set, I'm not down for that, go for it. Do what you got to do, bounce. But if it's like little trivial things like, oh, I don't know, I can't think of an example, but if it's little things and you just be like, you know what, I'm all set, I feel like then you really wasn't into that person, because there's no way for me, like in my experience of dating and being in relationships, like this something happens, like this one, we have an argument or whatever, one thing happens that I don't like, then I'm like, all right, well, you know what, it's been real. Like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, you're gonna be like, yo, you're annoying me or you're making me mad, but well, let's just figure out a solution. So I think that that's something to pay attention to. Like, how deep are you in this, and how much, I feel like, again, that kind of circles back to like, is this person really showing up as themselves and giving themselves, or are they giving you pieces? Because again, me personally, if I'm showing up to a relationship 100%, it's not that easy to just walk away and be like, from one mini thing. And again, if it's something that is not fitting into my non-negotiable category, then how can I just walk away from that? And that's something to pay attention to. And the part where it says lacking individuality, I think that is definitely true. I think that so many people want to be what they see online, or be an influencer, or whatever the case may be, or a player, or a boss, or oh, I'm about my money, which is not a problem, because I'm all about that. But just being who you are, not being what you see online, and creating this persona of a person, right? Who are you really? Um, and how do you not only handle difficulty, but how do you handle individuality? How do you handle being yourself? Do you change up for other people when certain people are around, or in a certain group, or online? Are you a completely different person than who you are in person? Like, do you stay true to you? That's again, that's subjective, and that's like important to certain people. Sometimes it's not, but I think that it is an important thing to pay attention to, like she says in this, because if you lack individuality, I think that you will just be, when it comes to dating, you will bounce from person to person, and you'll never show up as you, and you'll never actually like be in a fulfilling relationship, because you're just going off of what that person wanted versus like fulfilling yourself. Your cup is never going to be full. It's always going to be empty, because you're just drinking what somebody else wanted versus what you really wanted. So, the part where it says you are not just dating them anymore, you are dating their friends too, both offline and online friends. I feel like that's not a problem. I'm not saying that I'm dating you and your friends, but I feel like if you're dating and you're in a committed, like you guys get to the point where you're in a committed relationship, yeah, I would think that you're gonna meet their friends and like their family, and you're not necessarily dating these people, but they will have to eventually know things about you and get to know you, because I feel like, you know, I want to know the people that my friends are dating, in terms of like, is this person treating you right? Family too. Like, all right, my brothers are dating somebody. Like, is this person, treating you right, and vice versa? Like, that's how it is. So I don't feel like that's a problem. I don't think that it should be, this person is so involved, like you're not dating their friends, but I think that you are essentially going to get to know their circle. Um, Navigating dating traumas that you did not cause. I've had experience with that too. And again, that is something where it's not an easy thing to navigate. And I feel like you have to really that's where I feel like communication is key, because having those conversations early on, not necessarily telling your entire life about your trauma, but how do you deal with trauma, and how have you healed from this trauma, or is it still something that can come up, and just being able to recognize that, and also not just talking about it and recognize it, but like being able to think and talk to yourself and say, is this something that I want to deal with, and being real with yourself, and that, and it's okay to say, you know what, I'm not down for this, right? It's not anything, doesn't mean you're a bad person, doesn't mean they're a bad person, it's just not the scenario for you or situation for you. Or is it something that's going to bring you to closer together, so that you can, now this person has someone else to help them heal the trauma, right? If you're willing to do that. So the last part says, too much power struggle, very little camaraderie. I definitely think that that is kind of the narrative that is pushed, where you see this 50-50, bring, what do you bring to the table, money conversations, like career and status and things like that. I think that is definitely a problem, the power struggle. Very little camaraderie, because I feel like some people are not willing to help the other person. Now, I'm not telling some, I'm only can speak on my own experience and what I do and do want and stuff like that. You have to just figure out what works for you. If you want to be a partner who's okay with someone coming in with their own, I don't want to say baggage, but situations and things that maybe, all right, let me try to get some clear examples here. Like if you're both single, but maybe that person has a kid and you don't have a kid, is that something that you want to deal with? Be honest with yourself from the jump. If this person has a job that is, they have a job, you have a job, but they make less than you, is that a problem for you? Or are you willing to kind of have that camaraderie of like, all right, well, this person, we can work together and grow and see how you're going to be, if you're going to make more money or whatever, if that's an issue or something, or you're going to say, no, I'm all set. So I say, I'm trying to make sense of it, but I'm trying to say like the whole camaraderie versus power struggle. Like at the end of the day, I think that when it's power struggle, it's more rooted in money, status, finance, stuff like that. It's not rooted in like, hey, I want to be the provider. No, I want to be the provider. Like, I don't think anyone's arguing on that. And I say that to say like, that's the power struggle is more so like, hey, I want to be, I think the power struggle is the problem is like, hey, am I going to be committed or am I not? Is this a person that I really want to be with or not? Am I willing to be vulnerable, emotionally available to this person or not? Am I willing to compromise, or not even compromise, but am I willing to see like another big thing? I hope I'm not rambling, but when it comes to dating that I've learned is take, like if I meet you today and you are, 30 something like me, you got your own place, you got your own car, you got a job, you have these various goals or something, that's who you are today. I don't have to make a final decision, but I should be able to say like, okay, this is someone that I can see myself with, or I'm not, he doesn't have the things that I'm looking for. Versus like you meet someone who is, and the same thing, like in your same age range, but they don't have a car, or they have a car, they have a job, they don't have their own place. I think that taking a look at that, what's on that plate, like can you eat off of that plate that they're giving you today? And if you can't, are you willing to help them get in the kitchen and get the ingredients to cook and create the other things that you're looking for to eat? I say all that to say like that's important, I think, with dating, because I think sometimes you date potential and then that's when we really have these problems, because these are potentials that you created in your head, not necessarily that person has created for themselves that they even want to do. And that's where the lack of camaraderie comes through, because if you're coming into the relationship with one type of mindset and this person's coming in with another, that's a problem. Because if you're coming in and you're saying to this person, hey, you know what? I'm okay with you not having a car. I'm okay with you not having your own spot. At least you have these, this, and that, and you have these goals, and we get along great, and you're attractive, and yada, yada, yada. And that person's coming in thinking, all right, cool, this person's accepting me for who I am. But you're not really being honest with that, then that potentially can create some issues later on down the line. Because now you're gonna be eventually resentful of this person for not showing up or becoming the person that you want them to be. When actually they never said they wanted to be that person in the first place, and they never said that they wanted to get those goals in the first place. I say that to say like that can be a power struggle, because then there's this idea of like, you need to become who I want you to be so that I can stay in this relationship, versus like, I didn't want to be that. I never said I wanted to be that. I am who I am today. I might change. I might grow. I might not. And I think that that's something too, like in dating, that people have to, I feel like this can go on and on. I can maybe do another episode too, but like, I think that how I'm going into dating, especially 2024, is like meeting people that day. What are you looking like inside and out? Like, what you looking like today? Can I see myself being with you today? Not, oh, this person has potential, or, you know, even if they say, oh, they want to get a car, they want to, I don't know, it doesn't have to be a car, but just like they have these certain goals of who they want to be or keep growing into. It's not necessarily that they're going to do that. And are you okay with that? And I think that if people dated like that, there might be less of this power struggle and issues, and there would be camaraderie, because you know what, you'd be looking at him like, yo, or looking at her like, I can't, if she never changed from today, or he never changed, this is what he stays for the rest of his life, our rest of our lives, would I be with this person? It's yay or nay. And if they change into something else and for the better, then that's a bonus. So yeah, I think that's like a mindset to have with dating, is like being open, obviously, but being also open in the terms of like, can this person, the way they're showing up today, is that what I want? And I think that for me, in my personal experience, if I had done that from the jump, there are a lot of people that would have never had access to me. And not just because, again, like of material things, but just taking a time to look at their character. Character is a very big thing, because there are certain situations that occur either right off the bat or within the first 3 months that will show you someone's character and help you decide, like, is this someone that I could be with or not? Or are they just not there yet? Excuse me. And that's okay too. But you have to decide if you want to wait on them to potentially get there, or want to move on and find somebody else. So I hope this was helpful. I might, depending on how people react, I might try to do another episode, like a part 2, just because I feel like dating is such an interesting topic, and I feel like I would like to bring someone in to talk about it, not necessarily an expert, but someone else who's having the same experiences. Because for me, like I said, I haven't dated this year. There have been people that have showed interest, but I'm just not there, just because I feel like I have other things that are occupying my time, but also just I needed a break. Okay, I needed a break from getting to know people and all that stuff like that. So 2024, I'm ready. You know, I'm ready to go back into it. But yeah, I feel like the topic of dating is such an interesting thing, because sometimes we always think about it in terms of like meeting someone, but then it's like, yeah, there's other parts of it too. Like, even when you get in a relationship, it's a lot of work. And that's something that people don't necessarily always understand. I think that we always think about the dates and like the flowers and stuff like that, and like the love and all that great stuff. We don't think about the work that it requires. And are you willing to work? You know, so I think that's something too. Like, that's a big thing. Are you willing to put in the work? Because dating, marriage, relationships, all that stuff takes work, and on both ends. So I hope that was helpful. Again, this is about the question of what's the worst part of dating in this generation. And please, if you have any dating stories or advice or anything like that, please share with me, because I would be interested to know how people's experience has been this year or this past couple of years, especially with the pandemic and stuff. So as always, I'm your host, Chanel. This is Black Hippie Lounge podcast. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I'm on YouTube. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Black Hippie Lounge. And I will be posting this today. And please, like, send me any messages. Sometimes people still send me messages to say they like it, or they have like a topic they want to talk about, things like that. I'm very, very open to that. So 2024, I want to try to do things differently. I'm gonna try to do things in like series, like, because I feel like sometimes my episodes are not necessarily all over the place, but I have so many ideas. And so I think that it would be kind of cool to do it like in a series format next year. So yeah, I'm just rambling about things that are in my head, but I hope that you guys have a great Sunday. If you are like me in fantasy football, good luck on your games. I'm doing pretty good, but I gotta keep going. So yeah, take care of yourselves. As always, meditate, manifest, invest in you. And I appreciate you guys. Please remember that. I really appreciate all the follows, all the listens, all the interactions. I love interacting with you guys. I'm gonna keep going, keep doing episodes. I have to post my wrap up from the podcast this year of like stats and stuff. I just have to figure out how to do that, but I will share that as well online. So as always, take care of yourself. It's raining out, so stay dry, at least here. And stay hopeful. Stay hopeful that dating is not too bad. It's gonna be fine. You're gonna get to where you need to be. Okay. But yeah, I hope you guys take care.